Peace. This is Amun Asha Renu from AshaRenu.com. Today I will be conducting a tarot reading for each of the 12 Zodiac signs for the month of September of 2020. In this example, I will be using the Rider-Waite deck. As most people are already familiar with the imagery, it shouldn't be too complex to comprehend. So I will begin to shuffle the deck and draw the cards. We will start with Aries. And the card that comes up for Aries is the Moon. This takes us to the unconscious mind. This takes us to the land of the dead. This takes us to the alter ego, where the alter ego dominates, which is why you see a moon within a sun, also with the eyes closed, yet shining bright as the sun, causing the dogs and the wolves to howl. You can probably hear a dog in the background now as I'm speaking. So this energy of the moon connecting itself to the zodiac sign of Aries represents Aries' ability naturally as a warrior. The Aries is the master of the battlefield. But in this particular case, the battlefield becomes the unconscious mind. The battlefield played within the dark, the darkened black night of the unconscious. So for the month of September 2020, it is for Aries to dig into the depths of their unconscious mind, to find the root of what causes them to howl, what makes them tick, to explore the journey of the dead, or the things we consider dead, but that are highly active and living within us. Next, we have the energy of Taurus. Taurus then takes us to this card. Which I believe is the Three of Pentacles, or the Three of Disc. The Three of Disc represents the energy of works. We have Capricorn sharing its influence with the planet Mars. So we have activity happening within the structure and the archetypal planes. In other words, Capricorn takes us to the 10th house of public image, preparing yourself to come amongst the public, and having the ability to be very striking, which comes from the influence of Mars. So for the Taurus, it is to prepare yourself to be amongst the public and make an impact. To impact the public with your image. An impactful public image will be the goal of the Taurus. Next, we have the Gemini, which then takes us to the energy of the sun. So in this particular example, we now see the eyes of the sun are open. You see a harmony between nature, the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, the human kingdom, so on and so forth. We see a natural balance between forces. So for the Gemini, to embody the energy of the sun, to be the harmonizer of the Zodiac, which is normally Libra's duty. But in this particular case, it is for the Geminis to master authority, as the sun represents authority. The authority to harmonize various influences together. This is why we are within a solar system, as the sun strives to bring together many different planets and asteroids. So the duty of the Gemini is the same on a microcosmic level, to be the microcosmic sun, to be the sun on earth, the universal harmonizer, the balancer, the one who can integrate many different elements simultaneously. Next, we go into the degree of the Cancer, which takes us to the degree of the Knight of Wands. The Knight of Wands is the one who has mastered the flames, who has mastered the element of fire, who has harmonized a natural element with their essence so that there is no difference, which is what enables him to ride a flaming horse in the desert, because we see the Giza Plateau in the background, to ride in the fiery deserts. This is the ability of the Knight of Wands. Being as though this is the message for the Cancers, to be able to inflame yourself and traverse barren lands, lands that others would have considered dead and useless. However, these lands hold many secrets. In order to travel these lands, you must have a very powerful fire energy within you. So it is for the Cancers to increase their fire elements within their body so that they can traverse these mystery lands to uncover secrets. In other words, to be the master of the runes. Not necessarily the runes, the magical alphabet of the runes, but the destruction and the aftermath of war. Being able to gather intelligence where all felt there was none. Next, we go into the degree of Leo, which then takes us to the King of Pentacles. So for the Leos, it is for the Leos to master their earth element. So as the Cancers master their fire element, the Leos begin to master what it means to manipulate the physical plane. As we see the King of Pentacles is very abundant in resources. And all of these symbols have deeper meanings, as the earth element represents shape and form, which is why he holds a pentacle. Sacred geometry, the master of sacred geometry, because sacred geometry influences the mind. Our brain waves encodes our neurons. So through the mastery of sacred geometry, your reality is expanded via the earth plane. So to properly manipulate the earth element, it will then cause a change in consciousness. And that is the message for the Leos. Next, we move on to the Virgo. Which then takes us to the degree of the Four of Pentacles. So for the Virgos, you see he holds power. So we are continuing to travel the earth element. In this particular case, in this particular degree of the earth element, it is for the Virgos to learn how to stabilize the earth element, as the 4 represents stabilization. So he is able to balance the pinnacle at his head, his feet, and his hands. And he sits upon the throne. So this is the most stable part of the earth element. So this is the most earthy part of the earth. So it is for the Virgos to become the most earthy, to master the 4th degree of the earth element, to be able to hold power. As the 4 represents power, can you hold and maintain power via sacred geometry, via being able to manipulate your consciousness to the most earthy sense of the word? So it is for the Virgos to fully embody the most earthy part of the earth element, to maintain and hold power with sacred geometrical form and posture. Next, we go to the degree of the Libras. Which then takes us to the 10 of Wands. In the 10 of Wands, this being appears to be struggling to carry the weight of the wands. So for the Libras, they may feel very burdened in these times. They may be feeling they are carrying a weight that is very heavy. As you see, he is ducking his head as to not see where he's going. He doesn't want to see into the future. He hides his vision behind the wands. So the negative aspect of this card, the Libras may feel the future may be so uncertain, it's best not to look into it because you may not like what you see. So the Libras may not like what they see going into the future. However, the positive aspect of the wands, the 10 of wands, is to be the master. As we know, we are dealing with the fire element. And because we are dealing with the 10th degree, or the final degree of the fire element, this means we are traveling the darkest forms of fire. Because before the 10 is reset back into the 1, the fire must gather itself to its highest degree. But the highest degree of fire is its most dangerous degree, which will create an energy of oppression, which is what we are seeing here. An energy of oppression because of the magnitude of the flames. The flames' magnitude is vast. However, we see little green plants growing from the wands, representing new life. So you must keep your vision upward to see the new life, because you see he is looking down at the deadened life, at the flames, the ruins that the flames have created. But the new life, we have to gaze from above. So it is for the Libras to be the visionaries, to look above, to look ahead, to tap into your sight, because we are dealing with the fire. Utilize your sight to see into the future, to find the greenery within the future, to find the positive force as the Libras are balancing the scales. It is for the Libras to find the positive force within all of this madness. So you must keep your vision up and your sight precise. Next, we go into the degree of the Scorpio. For the Scorpios, we are taken into the suit of swords via the Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords is the receptive principle within the swords, as the swords represent thought as well as justice. To be receptive to the degrees and principles of justice. As we see, the Queen travels in the clouds, in the ectoplasma. She operates as a messenger that does not need to leave the throne. We also see a bird in the background. So she is the master of utilizing the messengers and messages, which is why you see the hand extended, because the hand is utilized for gestures, to convey gestures and signals. So to be the master of conveying signals and messages without having to open your mouth necessarily, to be able to keep your thoughts in the field of justice to the highest degree, as the sword is pointed upwards towards the sky. So for the Scorpios is to be receptive to the principles of justice, as the justice will come through the Scorpios. So we must be receptive to what we are able to comprehend, and to be hands off, to operate through the ectoplasma, to operate through thought, because the highest forms of justice does not require you to ever shed blood. So we do not see the Queen shedding any blood, because she is operating on the highest degrees of justice, which is why she has a cape of clouds as well. So it is for the Scorpios to put on the cape of clouds and to traverse the highest positions of justice. Next, we enter into the degree of the Sagittarius, which then takes us to the Magician, who is seeking to master all four of the elements, as we see the pentacles, the cups, the swords, as well as the wands. As above, so below. to be the conduit of spirit on earth. So it is for the Sagittariuses to develop their ability to be the conduit by utilizing the elements to be a conduit of spirit on earth, as above, so below, where you must be the house of God. The house of God must be within you as you train and master the four elements, so that the spirit element is manifested within you and you embody it physically to be a living vessel, a living conduit of spirit. And that's what a magician is. That's what it means to be within the house of God. To be the ultimate messenger, but not just a messenger, a conduit. So that's why the elemental magic is absolutely necessary, as you see him surrounded with elemental magic. So the utilization of elemental magic to be that conduit of spirit on earth, the conduit of spirit on earth. That is the message for the Sagittarius. Next, we have the Capricorn, which takes us to the degree of the star. So the star is also a messenger, but the messenger of the stars. So it is for the Capricorns to be the messenger of the stars. As Aquarius is the water bearer, and the water bearer communicates via the water element. So the Capricorn, being a earth sign, must then master their opposite, which would be the water element. The earth must come into the waters. And when the earth come into the waters, the intelligence of the waters, as the stars are surrounded in the waters, the blue skies, the messages of the stars will come through the waters. So the Aquarian, the astrologer, the water bearer, is the communicator of waters. So the Capricorns must be the star communicator. Communicate the messages of the stars from the stars by connecting with the water element. So rise to the greatest dimension, because whenever we embody our opposite element, we become more holistic, as all of these principles that are being explained are also universal and can be applied to any of these signs. So Capricorn will receive the messages from the stars by tapping deeper into the spiritual principles of the water element. Next, we go into the degree of Aquarius, which then takes us to the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups represents the waters that have not yet gained form or direction. We also see the messenger, the bird, placing the symbol into the cup. And the waters are then coming up out of the cup and distilling into the rivers. So what is causing the water to come up out of the cup and begin to distill into the rivers, and is also being held by a magical hand? The Ace of Cups takes us to the degree of Kether, if we go into the Kabbalistic studies, which can be corresponded to the planet Pluto. Whereas Pluto wants to destroy and reduce things to their most subtle component. When the earth, or rather when the waters come up out of the cups, this is a process of anti-gravity, because gravity will keep the water within the cup. So what causes the water to come up out of the cup? We are then speaking about the principle of anti-gravity. So the Aquarians are here to master anti-gravity of the cups, or the emotions, to cause your emotions to come up out of the body, or to come up out of their sleep, because we store emotional trauma in our muscles, as well as emotional energy that is positive as well, but they must be triggered. Emotional energy must be triggered, and most of the time it is triggered in ways that get us emotional, and the energy is uncontrolled. But if we can consciously trigger the emotional energy to rise from its place of rest, it then creates movements, and we can observe the patterns, as divination can be also observed in the waters, which is why the hand is there. The hand, which is distilling the yods, the little raindrops, is also symbolic of yod, the Hebrew letter yod, which is symbolic of the hand. Yod, the symbol of yod, is the hand. So we are seeing yod in the hand. So this takes us to the mysteries of the Hebrew, the mysteries of the Kabbalistic sciences. But to keep it simple, we must manipulate the emotional plane as the Aquarius to reduce your emotions, or to cause a sudden rush of emotions, as Pluto rules over Scorpio, and Scorpio represents the intensity of the emotional plane, being a fixed water sign. So the intensity of anti-gravity creates the movements that releases the waters, the emotions that trigger what we call intuition and psychic experiences, which is the water being distilled to the greater rivers and lakes. So we must consciously trigger our emotions to distill and flow, which causes our intuition to activate, and we become more intuitive. So to be the waters without intention, without form, as the ace represents no intention, no form, it just is. So to stimulate the intuition so that it just is, to activate it before you direct it. So it is for the Aquarians to activate and stimulate their intuition with anti-gravity. And this is just caused through meditation, to deepen your meditation so that you cause your emotional energies to release and travel and flow, which then stimulates the spiritual experiences that we experience on a subjective level. And lastly, we have the Pisces, which takes us to the degree of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles. So it is for the Pisces, being a water element, to come into their opposite of the earth element. The Queen is the receptive degree of the earth element. So this is the receptivity of the earth, as the Queen is receptive. So we saw before, or previously, the King of Pentacles. Now we are looking at the Queen. We are looking at the receptive principle of the earth element, the waters within the earth. So it is for the Pisces to embody the water within the earth. So being that Pisces are already naturally water, now they must expand the water so that the earth degree is created. Pisces being the natural dreamers, the natural psychics, the natural mediums. The natural psychic then begins to understand the degrees of the earth element. So being that Pisces are natural psychics, it is now time for the Pisces to master the earth element, to take that natural intuition and that natural psychic ability and start to apply that science to the earth element, to understand the mysteries of the earth the same way you understand the mysteries of the water, to apply that same understanding of the water and apply it to the earth and unlock the earth secrets, so that you see the woman is nurturing the coin as if it is a child, because she understands the water element within the earth. She understands the intuition within money. As money is a currency, money is a spirit. She understands the spiritual nature of the pentacles, the spiritual nature of the sacred geometrical forms. So it is for the Pisces to understand the spiritual element of the earth plane, to take their natural abilities and to apply it to sacred geometry and master the energies of the earth. And with that, that is the 12 degrees of the zodiac. May you gain wisdom from all of these degrees, as we are all these energies in one, as some of the energies are compressed and others are projected forward. So whatever you can take from this message, do so, and we will meet again soon. Peace.